YouTube, welcome back to another one of my videos. So today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be recapping Life is Strange Before the Storm episode 3. So I said in my last video that I had no idea how they were going to round off Before the Storm with only 3 episodes remaining, and I'm telling you, this whole episode was unexpected. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, and I don't think anybody could have predicted it. So episode 2 finished off with Rachel smashing the table with salad, and Rachel and Chloe basically find out that Sarah is Rachel's mum, and that basically Rachel's family had effectively been lying to her entire life. I said in my last video that I wanted to know how Rachel's family came to be, and the start of this episode is James explaining to Rachel and Chloe basically how he found himself in this situation. Basically, the story goes, they met in high school. James was absolutely obsessed with Sarah, and it turns out that she just wanted like escapism, and that's how she got into drugs. They fell in love. She still wanted escapism, he wanted a family and stuff. So basically they tried to make things work. They had Rachel. He was absolutely in love with Rachel from the moment she was born. But basically what happened was Rachel's mum Sarah, she took drugs while she was supposed to be looking after Rachel. And then James didn't want basically Sarah to hurt Rachel ever again. So he basically took Rachel and vowed that he would never let Sarah see her or hurt her again. But I have to say, I do love the visuals of the scene, I'm not gonna lie, like the scene was so well done. He said what Rachel and Chloe seemed to overlook was basically them, like, it was like a kiss goodbye, and it quotes, "It was the saddest kiss of my entire life." Like, okay dude, but dramatic. He still cheated on Rose, you know, because we do find out in this episode that him and Rose, he says, the first off, you know, Rose is your mother and she is my wife. So effectively he did cheat on his wife either way. It just seems to just be like completely chill with it. Like, hey, you kissed Sarah, like your ex that you had a child with. Like, how does that not, you know, it must have caused some kind of argument. I don't know. It had to have. And we also find out that James is actually sending Sarah money, basically paying her to stay away from Rachel, which is pretty fucked up. But I have to say that I don't really like James, and I just think he's overprotective, and it's kind of creepy how overprotective he is. He's just not a good guy, I don't think. I just don't like him. I also said in my last recap that, as always, because it's me, that I wanted more Amber Price. But because there was so much drama in this episode with Rachel's family, you'll see in a minute, like I'll talk about it later when Rachel gets stabbed and stuff, because there's so much drama in this episode, we got very little Amber Price. But one of the cutest scenes in this episode has to be after James tells Rachel everything. She goes up to her room, Chloe follows her up to her room and basically like makes like the star thing, and they have this little conversation on the bed, and they just cuddle and talk, and it's just so cute, and they talk about stars, which is adorable. But I did say in my first recap video that I wanted to see Chloe returning home, mainly because I love Joyce. And thankfully Chloe actually did return home early on in the episode. I didn't actually think we would see Chloe return home. I thought maybe it would just be like an end piece or something, but it wasn't. And actually a cool thing that I learned from watching other playthroughs and stuff recently was if Chloe was actually carrying weed in her pockets when she emptied them on the car bonnet in episode 2, David will actually have searched her room. When she comes in the window, there'll be like a line of dialogue saying, "Somebody's in my room." She's like, "David." And also, when Chloe returns home, she dyes like a little streak, like this bit of her hair, blue. So when Chloe returns home, we do get this dialogue between Chloe and David. The dialogue's different depending on like whatever choices you've made, because there's so many choices with David in this game. But whatever way you play the game, David will tell you about his friend called Phil Becker, who was in the army with him. He was a soldier. So you have a choice. He basically says, like, I've dealt with grief, I know what you're going through, so if you need a reminder of, you know, me being here for you, here's this photo kind of thing. And you have the option to either accept the photo or reject it. I accepted the photo, and I haven't seen a playthrough yet where somebody has declined it, but I don't actually know what happens if you reject it, but I don't understand why anybody would. I've said this before, I don't hate David. I dislike and disagree with some of the shit he does because he is still kind of in that military zone. But I do like David sometimes. And in this case, I like David and I felt really sorry for him. We then go to the junkyard scene, and I think it's really cool actually to see Chloe like fix up the car and stuff for her dad's tools. I just thought that was like a really nice thing to add into the game, because like the car does play such like a huge role from that point forward, you know. So after finding everything out from James, Rachel was just like, Chloe, we need to find Sarah, we need to meet my mum. So that was fine. So like Chloe comes up with the bright idea to phone Frank and be like, hey, she's one of your clients, let's meet in the junkyard. So they meet in the junkyard and we get like a really cute Amber Price scene. But in the junkyard, this is where shit hits the fan of this episode. So in the junkyard, Damon, the other dealer, who's like the really shady guy with the tattoos, he is with Frank. He gets angry with Chloe and Rachel for asking about his business. He just wants them to stop questioning, asking questions and stuff. So Rachel and Damon then get into a fight when he refuses to give information, and he's just like, okay, stop asking for Facebook clients, and they're like, do you understand? And Rachel's like, no! And then when Chloe says the name Rachel, he gets even angrier and he finds out that Rachel's DA's daughter, and he wants dirt basically on James. And then he threatens her and Chloe with like this massive knife. He just gets super mad altogether then when they won't give him basically dirt on James that he wants. And then Rachel hits him with a plank of wood just over the head. Then he stabs her on the arm. I'm just going to put a clip in here of my playthrough because I literally screamed Rachel. Rachel! So Frank then joins this fray, this fight kind of thing. And that gives Chloe basically the chance to get Rachel into the car and basically just save her life and drive her to the hospital. It's funny, I said in the last recap that I done that basically Rachel saved Chloe's life, and in this episode it's like completely flipped. You know, it's Chloe has to basically save Rachel's life by taking her to the hospital. So Rachel is now in the hospital for like the rest of the episode. But I love the way Chloe waits in the waiting room. But the thing is, she doesn't tell Joyce. So Chloe basically meets James, of course Rachel's dad, and Rose as well, Rose is there too, in the hospital, and she basically tells him, he asks her like what happened, and she tells him the full story. In this conversation I noticed in some playthroughs, he will say, I'll try and pull some strings of Wells and get you back into Blackwell. But I'm not actually sure what triggers that interaction. Maybe it's, I assume it's something to do with episode 2 where it begins in the principal's office. I assume it's somewhere there because that would make sense, but I'm not actually sure. In the hospital scene you also meet Steph. I love Steph. And this then gives you an option to go and visit Drew and Mikey. Apparently in some playthroughs Mikey is in the hospital depending on how you played your cards with the whole money and demon thing the last time, but I haven't actually seen a playthrough where Mikey's in the hospital, so I'm going to have to check that out. You also get to meet Drew and Mikey's father, and in some playthroughs he will actually say to you, if you give Drew and Mikey back the money instead of giving it to the dealers, Drew's father will actually tell you that he's moving into his old apartment. There's also a back talk challenge that you can do in Mikey's room, in the hospital room, which is you can do a back talk challenge for pudding. Sadly I missed it. So while visiting Rachel's hospital room, Rachel tells Chloe, I want to meet my mom before she leaves Arcadia Bay. So what I want you to do is I want you to go out there and find her. This is the key to my dad's office. I think it was 0722. Basically just goes, go. There's going to be information in there. Go get it. Also, there's this little bedside scene where Chloe's like sitting on the side of Rachel's bed and they're just talking. It's just so cute. And I just love them. And then Rachel goes to sleep before Chloe leaves, and then Chloe just before she walks out of the room kisses Rachel on the cheek, and it's just so cute, and I just love them, and I'm such a fangirl for Amber Price, but it's just it's Amber Price. So when leaving Rachel's hospital room you bump into Elliot, and I said in my last recap video that I find Elliot, one word, creepy. This episode confirms his creepiness. So there's like the super awkward conversation and Chloe basically goes, I have to go Elliot, see you around. She wasn't expecting to see him as soon, probably. So she basically goes to James's office and she finds a phone with only Damon's contact on it, and she uses the evidence that's around James's office to answer Damon's questions on the phone, burns the glove, which is the evidence that Damon wanted burned. I picked so many wrong choices. I picked everything but the glove. He wanted James basically to burn the evidence and then tell him who told on him, basically, who reported the crime to the police. So when Chloe does that, he tells her where Sarah is. Chloe then takes the money that James owes Damon and is on her way out basically to go and find Sarah and pretty much save her life because she's tied up in the mill getting tortured by Damon, which is not a great way to live life, you know? So pretty much we find out in this scene that James has hired Damon to kill Sarah, which is something I was not expecting. And when I found that out, I was just like, yeah, I really hate James. In this office you can also find letters that Sarah sent to Rachel, but James basically intercepted them and kept them from Rachel. And you can also find in the office some checks that basically they were void. They had this written over them saying void on them, meaning that Sarah stopped cashing in the checks, that she did stop taking the money because she just wanted to see Rachel. I feel really, really, really sorry for Sarah in this episode because she's done absolutely nothing wrong, yet she's getting so much punishment. So this is where I talk about creepy Elliot. Now, so as you're leaving the room, basically Elliot walks in and he's like, Chloe, what are you doing? And Chloe's like, would you fuck off? Would you leave? He followed Chloe from the hospital to the office, and then he starts being physically abusive and emotionally abusive. And the reason I say physically abusive is because there's a part where you have an option either to calm Elliot down or to walk past him. If you walk past him, he will push you into a table. I just thought he was a Warren. I just thought he's not any harm, he's a nice guy, he's alright. I just don't, And then I seen the love poems and stuff that he wrote about Chloe, and I'm like, okay, he's a little bit creepy. Then episode 3 rolls around, he's stalkerish. He's a stalker, he's emotionally abusive, and he's physically abusive, and I was like, right, no, Elliot, go away. So if you succeed in the backstop challenge like I did, you can get this guy arrested. But then we get one of my favourite scenes in the game, which is the second flashback with Chloe's dad. And I usually don't include the flashbacks in the recaps. I don't think I included them in the last one. This one was really, really beautiful because the last flashback you see of Chloe and her dad, he wasn't creepy like in other flashbacks. He's creepy, he's nightmarish, and like he always dies at the end. But this one, it was just like Chloe was having a conversation with her dad, and it seems to be her way of dealing with stress is to think, what would my dad say? What would my dad tell me to do? What would, and I just thought it was so beautifully done. So, Damon is keeping Sarah in the mill. Basically what happens, everything happens so fast in the mill. So basically Chloe walks in, she goes to Damon with the money. There's a knife that you can take in the foyer of the mill. If you take it, you have a third option. Basically, you have 3 options when you walk into Damon if you took the knife. You can either attack him, you can either say, let's talk, or you can just straight up give him the money. Either way, Damon will slap Chloe across the face, kick her in the stomach, and yeah, pretty much. But if you attack him with the knife, he will try and give you drugs. So Frank will actually come in again into the mill. He's stabbed like here, he has like a red blood mark, and he will actually fight Damon and save Chloe for a second time. So during this fight, before the fight even starts actually, Damon will actually kick Chloe and knock her out. When Chloe wakes up, the dealers are gone and it's just Sarah sitting at the table smoking. At first, I thought this was a dream sequence, but it turns out it wasn't, but I thought it was. So if you actually ask her where the 2 dealers are, she will be like, Frank's taking care of Damon kind of thing. So I take it, judging by the end of the episode and this line, that Damon is dead. The conversation between Chloe and Sarah is, I find it heartbreaking. It is quite long as well. It's like a good 10-15 minutes. It's like Chloe is pretty much begging, and she is really begging Sarah to just like go and see Rachel. She needs somebody to want her right now, And Sarah's just deflated. She's like, no, it's too much, I've nearly got killed here by James. and she doesn't want Rachel to know what happened. She just wants Rachel to continue her life like she didn't basically exist. Sarah doesn't want Rachel to kind of have nobody. She does, because if she finds out that her dad done this, she's never going to look at her dad the same way ever again. So Sarah pretty much wants Chloe to say to Rachel, I couldn't find her, despite the fact that Chloe saved. I was thinking about this earlier, like wouldn't Rachel want to know that Chloe saved her mother's life? So I also did say in my last recap video that Chloe and Frank had a weirded way friendship. And he actually protects Chloe in 2 occasions in this episode from Damon. So he totally does 100% secretly care about Chloe, even though she's like just a client. But he definitely cares about Chloe. Because he's never once hurt Chloe, that's the thing. So now we're just going to talk about the ending. So the ending of the game was in true Life is Strange fashion. You were given one big massive choice and then you just watched. So you can either choose to follow through with what Sarah said and say, you know, get Chloe to lie pretty much to Rachel and go, I couldn't find her. Or you can be honest and you can tell Rachel everything that happened. In my playthrough, I chose to tell Rachel everything because I feel like Rachel's been lied to enough. And I feel like Chloe and Rachel's relationship is built on trust. And for Chloe to lie about such a big thing would just ruin it, you know? So if you protect Rachel from the truth, you get like a really cute Amber Price moment where Chloe's just like, I failed you and all this here. And she's like, no you didn't, it's just, oh, they're so cute. I couldn't enjoy that moment though, because I'm like, how could you lie to Rachel? And then you see like the family all sitting happily together eating dinner, and then like Chloe's like sitting sulking. She's like obviously upset and feels guilty about the whole thing because she knows about James. But if you tell her the truth, you see this kind of scene where like James and Rose look like they've had a fight. Rachel's nowhere to be seen and James just like throws a glass and smashes it pretty much. I actually liked the ending of the game. I know there's so many people that were annoyed by it, but I loved it. I thought it was great. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Life is Strange fan. I hated the ending of the last game, but I still love the last game. But I actually like the ending of this one. So in like the little end scene, you see David proposing to Joyce. You see Frank like having a box of all David's stuff and basically like burning it. I think he burns it. He pours alcohol on it, so like it's kind of like he's gonna burn it, I guess. You succeed it in the back talk with Elliot. You'll see him leaving Blackwell with Principal Wells standing outside the door. But if you didn't succeed in the back talk and he didn't get arrested or caught by the police or something, basically you'll see him sitting with all the boxes packed up in a rip of a picture of him and Chloe. You can see Drew playing games with Steph and Mikey. So Drew's like evolved from this like jockey guy to like a nerd. It's pretty cool. And depending on your choices, you will see either Nathan sitting underneath the tree alone and Samantha not nowhere to be seen. I think there's like a scene in the hospital where Samantha's actually in hospital as well, and you can like go to the door and listen in their conversation. But I didn't actually see that in the hospital. I've seen it in Tumblr, but I don't actually know how you get that or whatever. Maybe he did hurt Samantha, which is sad because I shipped them too. Or in some cases, in my case, you see Nathan walking over to Samantha who's sitting under the tree, and then Samantha just walks away. Then you get to see the best scene of all, which is Chloe pulls with Blackwell. Principal Wells is like staring at her, and then you just see Rachel like running past Wells into Chloe's car, and she's just like. Chloe dyes her hair completely blue. You see that as well. Like they get tattoos, they hang out in the junkyard and all that, and it's just like a really cute like it shows like a timeline of their love story, and it's just it's so good, so great. But there's actually a secret ending. And at the lighthouse scene, basically what happens is at that lighthouse scene, instead of just the two of them sitting like playing around and stuff, just joking around, basically Chloe will see in the corner of her eye Sarah coming out, and then Rachel runs and hugs her. I said in my last recap video that I'd love to see a conversation between Rachel and Sarah, but we're never going to get that, you know, which sucks. And then of course the ending comes full circle when you see Rachel's phone in the dark room of 17 missed calls from Chloe. A lot of people didn't like the fact that it ended like this, but I thought it was great. That, you know, it reminds you on Rachel's fate. Yes, it's highly upsetting. I'm even starting to cry a little bit now just thinking on it. You know, the fact that that's gonna happen no matter what you picked on this game. Like, that's Rachel's fate is set in stone. Rachel's gone. And you can't do anything about the fact that Rachel is gone. I liked it because it just brought everything around full circle again. And I also have to say this. I don't think Rachel has superpowers. I don't think she has superpowers, and I'm not mad at all that they didn't address it because she doesn't have superpowers. So why address something she doesn't have? Rachel's not supernatural. They even said at the conference that there are no supernatural powers in Before the Storm. They said not everybody can have supernatural powers. Only Max has supernatural powers. I think that is absolutely everything I have to talk about. My camera's about to die, so I'm going to do this really quickly, but thank you guys so much for watching this recap video. If you did enjoy it, please give this video a big thumbs up and also subscribe with some love. Because basically this is the last time I'm going to promote my t-shirt. This is the Nice Rachel We're Having t-shirt inspired by a quote from Before the Storm. If you want to buy one, there will be a link in the description, and that still is really squeaky. I also changed my necklace halfway through because I had to go and get something, and I took the necklace off and then I put it back on. I forgot to put it back on again, and then I remembered mid-video when I seen it in the corner of my eye. And I will be playing the farewell episode on my gaming channel, so stay tuned to that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. And remember, life is strange, but life is also pretty good.